Friday the 14th, 2025. Welcome back to the Two Witnesses Live. I'm your host, Watchful, and it's time for your daily Torment report. And today happens to be Friday the Sabbath, so we're going to get through this as quickly as possible so that you can get to resting and relaxing and that intimate time with your Creator, like we all do, right? Right? Spending time with your Creator, praying, yeah. Or at least relaxing, right? All right, let's get over here to our boy, Donald Trump. There you go. So he posted a lot more today, probably too much. Some of the stuff I have no idea what it even means. Just a lot of like White House memos from articles over the past 2 months, past November, October, November, some in September. Anyway, let's get on with this. So first we have, yes, we have news coverage of the Jeffrey Epstein hoax, which if you haven't been following, if you haven't heard any update on this, it's a total sham that is completely backfiring on the Democrats. I think this is Jesse Waters. You'll hear all about it.
Democrats want you to forget all about the shutdown shellacking. So they're launching a smear campaign disguised as a bombshell. The Jeffrey Epstein emails. Congress is dumping thousands of documents, and Democrats are using them to frame Trump. But we've been combing through them and can't find anything nailing Trump. Even Axios says the emails contained no real smoking gun. The files do show Epstein's deep ties to liberals, like anti-Trump author Michael Wolff. He colluded with Epstein on how to blackmail Trump. Wolff told Epstein in 2015, if you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the House, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. Why is Wolff giving a pedophile PR advice?
Right.
And coaching him to take down the president? That wasn't the only writer Epstein colluded with. A New York Times reporter gave Epstein a heads up that a former cop was investigating him for a book. That reporter was pushed out of the company after they found he asked Epstein for a $30,000 donation. Larry Summers, who worked for Bill Clinton and Obama, was also pen pals with Epstein. He was asking him for tips on women. Who goes to Jeffrey Epstein for dating advice? Epstein didn't just have ties to the Democrats and the media. He had foreign connections. Before Trump met Putin in 2018, Epstein was pitching himself to the Kremlin, saying he could give Russia insight on Trump, which is weird because if the Kremlin was controlling Trump like the Democrats accused him, why did they need insight? He wasn't just any old rich American. He was well connected to top players all over the world, from Israel to Saudi Arabia. And it wasn't a secret. Epstein went to Clinton's White House 17 times, and Slick Willie was a frequent flyer on the so-called Lolita Express. Clinton and Epstein seemed like pals, but when it comes to Trump, Jeffrey had TDS. I have met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump, not one decent cell in his body. Trump should wear that like a badge of honor. The slimiest guy in the world hating you is a good thing. Epstein even admitted Trump, quote, never got a massage. The same author Epstein colluded with even said this.
Epstein believed that it was Trump who first informed the police about what was going on at Epstein's house. And from that point on, they were nothing but bitter enemies.
So Trump dropped a dime on Epstein, but Democrats say they're best buds? And that Biden and Obama's DOJ had proof Trump was compromised, but waited 3 elections to keep it a secret?
Right.
They arrested Trump over bookkeeping and want us to believe they had real dirt and didn't use it.
The Epstein files were in existence and free to have been opened during the Biden administration. You were there for 4 years. How come you didn't open it as a Democratic Party then? What am I missing?
Ghislaine Maxwell said Trump did nothing wrong. So have Epstein's victims and Epstein's lawyer. And none of these emails implicate Trump. So we're back to square one. Congress is playing games, holding fake votes to drop more files. But that's not going to happen because it's up to a judge, and they won't release grand jury testimony. This is now looking more and more like a ploy to divide Republicans and smear the president. For a party that claims to care about affordability, they sure waste a lot of time on old emails.
Right.
Primetime wants to get to the bottom of the Epstein saga more than anybody. We've been covering the story for years. But the story isn't about Trump. It's about foreign intelligence, blackmail, and cover-ups. Christopher Rufo is a senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute and host of the Rufo and Lomez podcast. All right, Chris, what does your gut tell you about what's going on here?
Look, I mean, Jeffrey Epstein is an increasingly and enormously powerful man, even in death. He is like a human hand grenade, and both sides, both camps, keep trying to toss him onto the other side and hoping that it explodes. But again and again, the evidence suggests that while Trump did know Epstein, he did party with Epstein on occasion, he wasn't involved in any of Epstein's crimes. And in fact, when he figured out what was going on, he banned Epstein from his Mar-a-Lago club and resort. And so the president, I think, had successfully established boundaries, and the Dems are just trying to agitate against him and trying to use whatever bits and pieces from these documents to get the president. But look, the president has been through a lot. He's been indicted. He's been arrested. He's been mugshotted. He's been shot through the ear. A couple of misrepresented snippets from these emails is not going to result in much.
How do you think the Republican Party is handling the Epstein situation?
I think the Republican Party, in part, has taken the bait, and there's this scrambling about the various bills and the court hearings. It's so convoluted, it's given the Democrats an opportunity to demagogue against it. But I think overall, the best policy is one of transparency. The more documents can be revealed, the maximum amount the courts can let loose to the public, I think that's better. And I think the evidence should, wherever it falls, it falls. The evidence thus far suggests that Trump had no involvement in the Epstein crimes. But I think certainly some very powerful people from all political persuasions and business and politics and academia and science are trying to keep these documents out of the public eye because, look, some very powerful and very well-known people were doing some very naughty things.
Yeah. Yep, that's what it appears to be, too. All right, Chris, great work. Thank you so much.
Yep. I can't wait until there's some justice or some actual truth that comes of this so we can just be done with this whole Epstein thing. We may not find out until the return. You know, I mean, the implication is there's a lot of, very powerful people who he was blackmailing. So, obviously, if powerful people were blackmailed, they don't want to be exposed. So there's some mighty forces working against this, whatever. But Trump obviously is not involved. The Democrats are doing everything in their withering power to push the Epstein hoax again, despite the DOJ releasing 50,000 pages of documents in order to deflect from all of their bad policies and losses, especially the shutdown embarrassment, where their party is in total disarray and has no idea what to do. Some weak Republicans have fallen into their clutches because they are soft and foolish. Epstein was a Democrat, and he is the Democrats' problem, not the Republicans' problem. Ask Bill Clinton, Reid Hoffman, and Larry Summers about Epstein. They know all about him. Don't waste your time with Trump. I have a country to run. Yeah. All right. So now that the Democrats are using the Epstein hoax, Jesus, this is going to dominate today's cycle. Now that the Democrats are using the Epstein hoax involving Democrats, not Republicans, to try and deflect from their disastrous shutdown and all of their failures, I will be asking AG Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice, together with our great patriots at the FBI, to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, J.P. Morgan Chase. Ooh, and many others and institutions to determine what was going on with them and him. This is another Russia scam with all arrows pointing to the Democrats. Records show that these men and many others spent large portions of their life with Epstein and on his island. Stay tuned. Whoa, man, what a way to word that. You know, they just they keep attacking, and they get the fire. Ah, wow, that's amazing. All right. Cost and inflation were far higher under the Sleepy Joe and Biden administration than they are right now. In fact, costs under the Trump administration are tumbling down. Helped me greatly by gas helped greatly by gasoline and energy. Affordability is a lie when used by the Dems. It is a complete con job. Thanksgiving costs are 25% lower this year than last under Crooked Joe. We are the party of affordability. Yes. Oh, what happened? I switched tabs. Did I change? What happened? There we are. Okay, so now we're getting into the posts. We're just going to skim through these. So Sean Connery is helping Trump buy land in Scotland so that the Scottish government can build 500 new homes, 950 holiday homes, a hotel, a world-class golf course at the Meany Estate in Aberdeenshire. Yeah, so during tough economic times, this was a major vote of confidence in Scotland's tourist industry. I look forward to seeing this new gem in the north. So, yeah, Trump is working with Scotland. Scotland is close to my heart. I'm 100% Scottish. Scottish on mom and dad's side. All right, Bond star Sir Sean drove through my golf course plans. Sir Sean Connery helped secure consent for Donald Trump's first golf course in Aberdeenshire. Donald Trump has claimed the president attributed the approval of the course at the Meany Estates to an interview from the late James Bond actor. During his speech at the ribbon-cutting ceremony yesterday, Mr. Trump said this has been an unbelievable development. The land, they said, it couldn't get zoned. It was an impossibility. And Sean Connery said, let the bloody bloke build his golf course. Once he said that, everything came into line. John Sweeney and I were talking about that last night. He added, Sean Connery helped me get the permits. If it wasn't for Sean Connery, we wouldn't have those great courses. In 2008, Sir Sean is reported to have spoken about the golf project, saying during tough economic times, this is a major vote of confidence in Scotland's tourist industry and our ability to rise to the challenge. I look forward to seeing a new gem in the northeast that is good for Aberdeenshire and good for Scotland. All right, so these are the ones. We're not going to read through all of these. These are basically, he's reposting articles from the last couple of months. So we're just going to kind of title read these things and just kind of get a sense for what's said in them. Geez. Trying to figure out how to. Oh, there we go. I can zoom in. Trump never wavered. Israel never paused because of Beltway handwriting or chatter from think tanks. Few believed Trump would win the 2024 presidential election. Fewer thought he could secure a ceasefire and release the hostages within his first year back in office. Hardly anyone had confidence in Trump's special envoy to the Middle East. Steve Witkoff, or expected to see his son-in-law Jared Kushner emerge from retirement to help push the agreement over the finish line. It all happened. It's history's now up for debate. President Trump did it, and if that truth unsettles you, look forward. That unease isn't reason look inward. That unease isn't reasoned disagreement. It's spiritual exhaustion. I love it. Trump has freed more than 70 U.S. hostages in less than a year. Biden released around 70 in 4 years. President Donald Trump's administration has secured the release of more than 70 hostages held by foreign governments since taking office in January, according to the State Department. The Trump administration has emphasized arranging the U.S. hostages under his second administration. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's see if we can move to the next one. Trump shut down layoffs target left-wing HUD office that tried to abolish the suburbs. More than 400 employees of the Department of Housing and Urban Development were issued layoff notices on Friday, primarily targeting an office that pushed left-wing ideology, a department official told Daily Wire. A HUD official said the largest office targeted by the 442 layoffs at the agency is the Fair Housing and Equal Opportunity Office, which the official said became the tip of the spear for left-wing initiatives under former President Joe Biden. Good. Everyday Americans say they're done with Democrats shut down in new White House video. Everyday Americans across the country are urging Democrats to open the government in a new video created by the White House, and the first obtained by the Daily Caller. In a minute-long video, several Americans, some standing in farms and fields, call on Senate Democrats and Minority Leader Chuck Schumer to end the government shutdown. Okay. Don't know. Let's see. Shutdown. So this is the continuation of that previous one. Those featured argue that Schumer and the Democrats are hurting farmers and their farms. Don't listen to the desperate attempts at spin from the Democrat Party as to why they shut down the government. Listen to hardworking Americans sharing the truth with White House spokesman. Okay. GE Aerospace launches $30 million investment in line with Trump order. Yep. I'm reading too much into these here. So that is Stellantis unveils $13 billion U.S. investment plan. Okay. And that's just one slew of these. The next slew. Trump's historic vindication in Israel. President Donald Trump celebrated the release of the final 20 Israeli hostages from Hamas dungeons on Monday. So the thing that's interesting about this is it happened on October 14th, which is when Iron Sword. So I believe that October 14th, 2023 was the opening of seal number 4, because it was Operation Iron Sword that went into Gaza starting on that day, and there was an eclipse on that day that was in the section of the sky observed by the lion, the living creature, the lion. So basically it was like the lion saying, "Come and see." And he saw death followed by hell. So I believe that the Operation Iron Sword is representative by hell. So, with that being said, it's interesting that they ended the conflict and agreed to a peace agreement. So basically, it was an end of the Iron Sword 2 years after the start. So this was really interesting. Telling Israel's Knesset that after 2 harrowing years of darkness and captivity, 20 courageous hostages are returning to the glorious embrace of their families, referring to the repatriation of the remains of hostages who died in Gaza. Trump added 28 more precious loved ones are coming home at last to rest in the sacred soil for all time. Charlie Kirk's colleagues and pastors praise his patriotism as Trump remedies highest civilian honor. So I feel like he's posting these just as kind of a list of accomplishments that, he's proud of. I don't know. It seems like he's accomplished a lot more than this. So it's interesting that he's separating these out for attention. I'm good at making peace. Israel-Hamas accord cements Trump's legacy as peacemaker president. Aboard Air Force One en route to the Middle East to sign a landmark peace agreement between Israel and Hamas. Yep. how Trump worked a Mideast miracle with his two-sided America First doctrine. President Trump has performed nothing short of a miracle by halting the war in Gaza and securing the release of 20 precious souls who had been languishing in Hamas's captivity since October 7th. Yep. Trump's efforts were greeted with jubilation and relief in Israel and amazingly in Gaza as well. Bill Maher, I can't deny President Trump's enormous success. We're going to win. We're going to win so much, you're going to get tired of winning. And Trump was not wrong about that. Finally started to win over some of the unbelievers. We got Bill Maher now. So HBO host Bill Maher said that he cannot deny some of the success under President Trump despite not voting for him. Maher expressed his feelings about President Trump's success while speaking on Club Random podcast with actor William H. Macy. I always say this, you cannot ever deny success. You just have to give your respect even if it's not your thing. Have the humility to give it up for enormous success on any level. Trump, not my choice. Didn't vote for him, Maher said, and I can't deny the success. Maher's praise of the president's success came on the heels of his administration striking a monumental peace deal between Israel and Hamas to end the war in Gaza after 2 years of conflict, starting with the October 7th massacre in 2023. Yep. Okay, playbook. Trump's victory lap. A triumphant Donald Trump landed back in D.C. in the early morning hours. When was this? There's no date. After what we can surely mark down as his greatest 24 hours as U.S. president, Trump whirlwind's victory lap of the Middle East gave the president everything he craved, and everything which has eluded him since was first elected in 2016. Ownership of a historic diplomatic achievement, the respect of rich and powerful leaders. Okay. Hugh Hewitt, the world doubted, but Trump delivered, hostages freed. Terror defeated, hope restored. Yep. All right, that is the end of that bunch. We got more. He posted so many of these things. He's making up for yesterday for not posting enough. So here, we'll just do to make up for the day that he didn't post a whole lot. We're just going to post a bunch of these articles just to remind people what's been accomplished. Just a smattering of what's been accomplished. GE Aerospace CEO Larry Culp announces $30 million workforce skill training program. GE Aerospace CEO Larry Culp announced at an Axios event on Tuesday that the GE Aerospace Foundation is launching a $30 million 5-year workforce skills training program aimed at helping revitalize U.S. manufacturing. Well, that's pretty cool. It's part of the global aerospace giant effort to close the gap between the number of manufacturing jobs that employers are creating in America and the workers who have the necessary skills. Cool. From ABC, over 50 tons of cocaine seized by U.S. Coast Guard in Pacific since August. The U.S. Coast Guard says that it has seized over 50 tons of cocaine. Cool. Okay, that's about the cocaine. Trump is opting some of the government shutdown. President Donald Trump is all but ignoring the federal shutdown for parts of the government he favors, keeping paychecks flowing for military service members and backfilling publicly sensitive social benefit programs in a push to alleviate political pain from the closure as it enters its third week. The White House Budget Office on Tuesday posted on social media that the administration was preparing to batten down the hatches, lay off more federal workers, and dig in for the prolonged impasse. Federal officials are working to pay at least some law enforcement agents who would otherwise be working without compensation during the shutdown, according to a person familiar with the discussions, speaking on the condition of anonymity to describe internal deliberations. Revenue from tariffs, the crown jewel of Trump's economic strategy, is filling the account for WIC, the anti-hunger program for women, infants, and children. Trump's military deployments to Democratic-controlled cities have been uninterrupted, along with nationwide immigration raids. Oh, is that the only one? Or did we go through this stack already? All right. I feel... Oh, nope, there it is. Trump's war nets a major victory over Canadian auto industry. President Donald Trump's trade war just cost Canada its first plant-wide auto industry casualty. Multinational car maker Stellantis announced plans Tuesday to pour $13 billion into growing vehicle production in the United States, the single largest investment in its history. The shift its Jeep Compass production from Ontario Brampton Assembly Plant to Belvedere Assembly Plant in Illinois. Who would go to Illinois with what's going on in Chicago? I guess, though, crime is down, even though you still have those idiot mayors and governors that are allowing chaos. So, okay, I guess. Crushing 3,000 Canadian jobs in the process. From Axios, Trump proclaims October 14th the National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk. Huh. President Trump proclaimed October 14th the National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk shortly after he posthumously awarded the Turning Point USA co-founder the Presidential Medal of Freedom on Tuesday, which would have been his 32nd birthday. Yeah, sure. Interesting. Charlie Kirk's birthday was on the same day that the Operation Iron Sword ended. I believe that technically, so I don't know, I may be speaking presumptuously on that. The day that the peace agreement took place. It's nice that those two things coincided. I think that is, for giving his life a great honor that he'll appreciate in his glorified body. He called on the American people to assemble on October 14th in their respective place of worship, there to pay homage to Charlie's memory and pray for the advancement of peace, truth, and justice all across our country. Trump invites ballroom donors to glitzy White House dinner. More than 36 organizations and individuals, including companies with business before the federal government, are expected to attend a dinner with President Trump on Wednesday evening after opening their checkbooks to support the new $250 million ballroom under construction at the White House. Okay, cool. Alrighty, that is that stack. And there's more. And there's more after that. I'm trying to get through these as quick as I can. Some of them I would really honestly like to read them all because they're very interesting. I'm just trying to get the summation of them. All right, this was from October 15th, 2025. Maybe he posted these because he felt they were underreported on. Trump admin revokes visas of foreigners who celebrated Charlie Kirk's assassination. Good. The Trump administration revoked the visa of visa holders who celebrated the assassination of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk. The Daily Wire has learned. Good. Trump Hamas will disarm or we will disarm them. From the Daily Wire. Hamas will disarm or we will disarm them. President Donald Trump said on Tuesday that Hamas terrorists would lay down their weapons or the United States would disarm them. White House reveals illegal migrants who receive Medicaid as shutdown over health care drags on. The White House unveiled a number of criminal illegal migrants who received Medicaid as the Senate remains in gridlock over the government shutdown. Yep. ICE agents still risking their lives despite working without pay. Good on them. Trump optimistic he can bring Russia and Ukraine to peace after Middle East hostage exchange. President Donald Trump is optimistic he can achieve peace in Ukraine on the heels of the successful hostage exchange in the Middle East, a White House official told Politico. Okay, made it through that stack. We're getting faster. One more, I think. I think this is the last one. Nope. At least two more. All right. How my dad, Steve Witkoff, turned pain into purpose. My father, Steve Witkoff, has always been a man of compassion His life has been built on a simple creed: when people suffer, you do not look away, you step forward to help. He did not come from privilege. His father was a coat manufacturer, and at age 29, with no financial safety net, he took the leap to start his own business. Hard work was his inheritance, perseverance his language. Even as he built a career from nothing, he never allowed success to eclipse his humanity or his devotion to family. Over the past year, my father has traveled the world, often at his own expense, advancing President Trump's mission of peace and the return of hostages, including Americans Mark Fogel, Eden Alexander, and dozens more. What struck me most was how personally he embraced that calling. Beyond meetings and briefings, he spent countless hours with hostage families, sitting beside them, listening to their stories, and restoring faith when hope seemed lost. Wow. That just makes me feel bad that I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? What can I do? What more can I do to be like that? From Axios, why the White House is convinced it's winning the shutdown. The White House's political operations is telling congressional Republicans to hold firm on the government shutdown, citing internal and external polling that shows Democrats' numbers are eroding. Wow. Democrats are taking on water, and we have a higher pain tolerance, a senior administration official told Axios. 44% in the internal White House polling blame the shutdowns on President Trump and the GOP-led Congress. 38% blame Democrats. Boy, they really got that backwards, don't they? Okay. DOJ brings first Antifa-related terrorism charges in Texas ICE attack. Cool. And Secretary of Education points out that the government shutdown shows her department is unneeded. That's right. School scores have gone down ever since the Department of Education was founded. It's not needed. It should be removed. It would save us money. All right, we are at the last bunch. Let's burn through these boys. October 16th. So these didn't cover. For some reason, I thought these were articles from October and November. But basically, they're just articles from October 14th, 15th, and 16th. Jeez, this is only 3 days? Wow. Like, could you imagine if he posted everything that he accomplished, and it would be hundreds upon we would not have enough time to cover it all. That's the point of this channel, to cover as much of it as we can each day, just so that there's a slice in time that's associating his work with the prophecy, with the work of the two witnesses. He has not let us down yet. Trump announces massive discounts on IVF fertility treatments. Good on him. President Donald Trump announced on Thursday that patients will receive discounts for vitro fertilization, IVF, and fertility treatments. The White House negotiated with EMP, so that we don't have to read this, but that's pretty cool because we need more babies in the world. There's no doubt about that. Trump Patel claim over 28,000 violent criminal arrests. POTUS eyes San Francisco and Chicago. Good. And 175,000 Americans apply for jobs at ICE. I love this. You know, those who think that their anarchy and chaos is causing a problem to ICE. What you're causing is people to join ICE. I love it. A total of 175,000 Americans have applied to join the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. A top official at the Department of Homeland Security told Alex Marlowe, show podcast with Breitbart editor-in-chief. Cool. All right, what else? Trump instructs Pentagon to ensure troops are paid despite government shutdown. We already know that. Republicans push to pay troops. Reopen government as Democrats balk. State Department revokes visas of foreign nationals who hailed Kirk's killing. They reported on that one already. That was a double post. That one doesn't count. I'm kidding. Alrighty. All right. Please be advised that I am withdrawing the nomination of Donald Korb to be Assistant General Counsel in the Department of the Treasury. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Wonder what he did. These are just more nominations. You can read them if you like. We're not going to. ad. Did Thomas Massey, sometimes referred to as Rand Paul Jr., because of the fact that he always votes against the Republican Party, get married already? Boy, that was quick. No wonder the polls have him at less than 8% chance of winning the election. Anyway, have a great life, Thomas, and question mark, his wife will soon find out that she's stuck with a loser. Oh my god. That's so mean. Probably true though. I am withdrawing my support and endorsement of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh, of the great state of Georgia. Well, this one stings. I like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Over the past few weeks, despite my creating record achievements for our country, including a total and complete victory on the shutdown, closed border, low taxes, no men and women's sports or transgender for everyone, ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, biggest regulation cuts in history, stopping 8 wars, rebuilding our military, being respected by every country in the world, as opposed to being the laughingstock that we were just 12 months ago, having trillions of dollars record-setting invested in the U.S. and having created the hottest country anywhere in the world from being a dead country just 12 months ago, and so much more. All I see wacky Marjorie do is complain, complain, complain. It seemed to all begin when I sent her a poll stating that she should not run for senator or governor. She was at 12% and didn't have a chance. Unless, of course, she had my endorsement, which she wasn't about to get. She has told many people that she is upset that I don't return her phone calls anymore. But with 219 congressmen / women, 53 U.S. senators, 24 cabinet members, almost 200 countries, and an otherwise normal life to lead, I can't take a ranting lunatic's call every day. Yikes. I understand that wonderful conservative people are thinking about primarying Marjorie in her district of Georgia, that they too are fed up with her and her antics, and if the right person runs, they will have my complete and unyielding support. She has gone far left, even doing The View with their low IQ Republican hating anchors. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. Wow. Did not see that one coming. Huh. I mean, really, the only really reason why I like her is because, she's been visible to me. She's in the eye of places where I watch. Like, she's been on Tim Pool a couple of times. He talks about her. He's interviewed her. She has said some things that I agree with. So, I trust his judgment more. Like, he has proven he has proven to be able to smell things out and make quick judgments. Although he failed the first term, he really did a terrible job of identifying. Maybe that's why he's a little bit quicker now. Is he learned from his first term not to tolerate things that are that give him a feeling, so to speak, in his stomach or something like that. And with somebody, I get it. Somebody who just complains all the time, they're not a person of action. You don't really hear people who are like highly successful complaining all the time. So I get it. She made a mistake. She should apologize and figure out what she can do to win back his endorsement. That would be my advice. Apologize. And this is the same one we already watched. So we are done with Donald Trump. We burned through that, but it took way longer than I expected. All right. Let's do some comments here. Do you have any comments that we should be addressing? The Gap snuck in a $500,000 lawsuit into the shutdown bill, and now, really? Huh. No, they aren't cheaper this year. Turkeys cost more. Actually, they do? I think so. He's basing that based on Walmart's report that that costs are down 25%. It's probably not a blanket 25% for everything, and your mileage may vary depending on where you are. Turkeys in our area are dirt cheap, but I also live in the country where we have a million farmers out here, and there's excessive amounts of food available. No, they aren't. Let's see. Why are we helping Scotland build? Don't know. Yeah, but they love those Middle East. Excuse me. Been drinking soda. It's not really, I don't know if you can call it soda. It's grapefruit flavored water. King Charles is 77 years old today. He was born 6 months after the creation of Israel state. Nothing here. Who else in scripture was born 6 months earlier? I think he jumped in the womb. Let's see. 80 years is considered a generation for Israel. Hamas refused to lay down their arms and are still trapped in the tunnel. What do you mean? Yeah, I understand that there are divisions with Hamas. So I actually haven't followed up on what's going on with the tunnel. I did hear about the Hamas that were trapped in the tunnel, and they were trying to decide what to do with them. I haven't followed up on that. So Israel and Trump have agreed to exile them. Oh. Different channels are saying that a civil war is near. Yeah. Joe Man, you can describe the manifestation of the outline. Let's see. If you start breathing fire, I'm out of here. She's constantly criticizing him and acting like a liberal. Oh, this is a guy's personal conversation. All right. Let's move on to Elon. And he posted a lot. We're going to skip all the Grok stuff. Hopefully make up some time with that. All right. So we left off with Elon Musk with this Grok stuff. Here's another Grok video. They're going to release 15-second videos next week. That is kind of cool because I am actively working on generating videos right now and trying to get some really cool stuff. So longer video generation is awesome. So you can upscale videos now. So this is reporting that you can now upload a video and upscale it to higher quality. That's also helpful. This is just Croc stuff. Here we go. Here's some important stuff.
Back to the home building part. It's interesting you brought it up. Are you as obsessed with AI as I am?
I am.
Okay, I don't know. I'm a Grok guy.
Okay.
Me
too.
This is why they posted this.
Elon, I think it's the best.
I think it's the best. It's also the least woke.
Yeah.
I'm always asking
that's
myself,
true.
if I ask an AI a question, is it going to give me an objective
The vice
answer?
president puts it
or is
in
it gonna give me a
extreme
woke
mode.
answer?
Have you put it in extreme mode just for kicks and giggles? It's a little. Well, if you want,
I have not, Sean. I don't want the media to attack
if you want to know the neighborhood.
Unhinged.
Back to the home building part. It's interesting you brought it up. Are you as obsessed with AI as I am?
I am.
Okay, I don't know. I'm a Grok guy.
Okay.
Now it's replaying again.
Grok guy.
Are there any posts about Blue Origin? Elon posted about it yesterday. He said congratulations. Didn't really. That was pretty much it. Just said congratulations to Blue Origin. Grok. Let's see. Download Grok. Is this the same one?
Are you as obsessed with AI as I am?
I am.
Okay, I don't know. I'm a Grok guy.
Okay. Me
so
too. I'm a Grok guy.
You're a Grok guy. Okay, Elon, I think it's the best.
I think it's the best. It's also the least woke.
Okay. Starlink is awesome. Greatly improved audio is coming with 15-second videos next week. Breaking. Grok Imagine is awesome. Angel. I will say that we do like Angel. Angel's got some good stuff. You will never look at your cat the same way again. Grok Imagine. Tons and tons of Grok. XChat. Try out XChat. It's encrypted end to end. If you need if you're going to trust anybody with encrypted chats, I would probably trust Elon more than the average company. Oh, let's listen to this.
The sun is about 99.8% of the mass of the solar system. And then Jupiter is about 0.1%. And then everything else is in the remaining 0.1%. And we are much less than 0.1%. If you burnt all of the mass of the solar system, then the total energy produced by the sun would still round up to 100%. Like if you just burnt Earth, the whole planet, and burnt Jupiter, which is very big and quite challenging to burn, and turn Jupiter into a thermonuclear reactor, the sun is 99.8% of the mass of the solar system.
Wow.
And everything else is in the miscellaneous category. So, like basically, no matter what you do, total energy produced in our solar system rounds up to 100% from the sun. You could even throw another Jupiter in there. So we're going to snag a Jupiter from somewhere else. You could teleport 2 more Jupiters into our solar system, burn them, and the sun would still round up to 100%. So as long as you're at 99.6%, you're still rounding up to 100%. Maybe that gives some perspective of why solar is really the thing that matters. Wow. And as soon as you start thinking about things at sort of a grander scale, like Kardashev scale 2 civilizations, it becomes very, very obvious. It's like, I'm not saying anything that's new, by the way. Anyone who studies physics has known this for, a very long time. In fact, Kardashev, I think, was a Russian physicist who came up with this idea, I think, in the 60s, just as a way to classify civilizations, where Kardashev scale 1 would be you've harnessed most of the energy of the planet. Kardashev scale 2, you've harnessed most of the energy of your sun. Kardashev 3, you've harnessed most of the energy of a galaxy. Now, we're only about, 1% or a few percent of Kardashev scale 1 right now, optimistically. But as soon as you go to Kardashev scale 2, where you're talking about the power of the sun, then you're really just saying everything is solar power and that the rest is in the noise. Like
wow, shoot, what happened?
The energy of your sun. Kardashev 3, you've harnessed most of the energy of a galaxy. Now, we're only about, 1% or a few percent of Kardashev scale 1 right now, optimistically. But as soon as you go to Kardashev scale 2, where you're talking about the power of the sun, then you're really just saying everything is solar power and that the rest is in the noise. Like the sun produces about 1 billion times, or call it well over 1 billion times more energy than everything on Earth combined.
This is one of the reasons that makes him so successful is he gets into the nitty-gritty details about things to where he identifies the thing that is true and extracts what is most likely based on what he's able to identify as true. So given that rant, he knows that no investment in solar is really going to fail because that is where the majority of the energy in the universe comes from. I love it. Yep. All right, simulation theory. Ooh, this will be good.
If simulation theory is true, then it is actually very likely that the most interesting outcome is the most likely, because only the simulations that are interesting will continue. The simulators will stop any simulations that are boring because they're not interesting.
But here's the question about the simulation theory: is the simulation run by anyone, or
it would be run by someone? Like in this reality that we live in, we run simulations all the time. When we try to figure out if the rocket's gonna make it, we run thousands, sometimes millions of simulations just to figure out which path is the good path for the rocket. And where can it go wrong? Where can it fail? But when we do these, I say at this point, millions of simulations of what can happen with the rocket, we ignore the ones where everything goes right because we just care about we have to address the situations where it goes wrong. And for AI simulations as well, like all these things.
Dang it, I need to quit clicking buttons. That's gonna keep causing problems.
We just care about we have to address the situations where it goes wrong, and for AI simulations as well, like all these things, we keep the simulations going that are the most interesting to us. So if simulation theory is accurate, if it is true, who knows, then the the simulators they will continue to run the simulations that are most interesting. Therefore, from a Darwinian perspective, the only surviving simulations will be the most interesting ones. And in order to avoid getting turned off, the only rule is you must keep it interesting, because the boring simulations will be terminated.
I do often think about the simulation theory. That's kind of, if you were here yesterday for the essay on equating spirit to quantum mechanics, that's one of the things that I often wonder about, because in quantum mechanics, you can actually explain what spirit is. You can explain how prayer works. You can explain how the devil works, who the Antichrist is, why Jesus had to die, why the life of the flesh is in the blood. It's interesting because, but it lends towards kind of a simulation, and in that anything you can imagine is technically possible, because in quantum mechanics, anything is possible until it is observed or measured, meaning it's come into existence. So it would not surprise me if we're not in some kind of a simulation, just maybe not in the way that you might be thinking, to where I don't think we're a program running on a computer, but I do think that all of creation obeys rules like a simulation, and that's the reason why things work the way they are. So, for instance, when you pray, there is some kind of interconnected network that literally verbalizing or even thinking, just you're sending out frequencies, you're sending out a reverberation through that network that bounces off different nodes and causes pretty much the entire system to start moving in that direction, because you're measuring it, because you're observing it. When you're bringing something to the forefront, you're bringing attention to it. Pretty much all of creation and everything in it moves towards making that happen. That's why when you hear about this kind of stuff happening all the time, where somebody is going to get kicked out of their house if they don't pay their rent. So they pray to God for somebody to come and pray and pay their rent. And then out of nowhere, 5 minutes later, somebody says, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I got an extra $500 in my pocket, and I just had this idea that I should come give it to you. That's what I'm talking about. So even if the simulation isn't true, and that like we're a program running on a computer like the Matrix, it's still an interesting way of framing the way things could potentially work. And I think that's one of the reasons why Elon kind of thinks of it in that regards. And what he's describing is the most interesting outcomes are the ones that seem to survive. I don't know, I kind of take that as a means of saying, the things that are observed that we gravitate towards are the ones that become reality. Something along that lines. I don't know, I could be wrong. All right, what is this?
If you don't have freedom of speech, you don't have democracy. Okay, because if you don't have freedom of speech, people cannot make an informed vote. If they're just being fed propaganda, and there's no freedom of speech, democracy is an illusion.
Yeah.
So freedom of speech is the bedrock of democracy. That's why freedom of speech is the First Amendment.
Interesting.
Once you lose freedom of speech, you lose democracy. Game over. If you don't have freedom of speech, you don't have democracy. Okay, because if people...
I think that relates directly to the first beast from the sea. There's something to that. Freedom of speech. When you lose freedom of speech, you lose democracy. So it would stand to reason that as soon as we lose freedom, that freedom of speech must die in order for the beast from the land to rise.
If you don't have freedom of speech, people cannot make an informed vote. If they're just being fed propaganda, and there's no freedom of speech, democracy is an illusion. So freedom of speech is the bedrock of democracy. That's why freedom of speech is the First Amendment. Once you lose freedom of speech, you lose democracy. Game over.
Fascinating. Wow. Gonna have to think about that one this weekend. That hits pretty hardcore. So what I can draw from that and what we could expect, knowing what we know about the timeline. We haven't been to the timeline in a while. Let's switch over to our timeline. So we're very likely in the 1,260 days. What we could gather from this, that we're probably going to be moving towards losing. See, and that's what was interesting about both Donald Trump and Elon Musk protect. I wonder if that's not the oil in the lamps. Freedom of speech. Huh. Because both Donald Trump and Elon Musk right now are providing freedom of speech. Wow, that one hits pretty hard. Huh. So it would stand to reason that in order for the beast from the land to rise, that would need to come to an end. So right now we're living through the last 3 years of freedom of speech. Mark my words. If we're right about the timeline, then that's probably the case. All right. More AI videos. This one's retarded. That one's not as real as some of the Sora videos. The Sora videos are getting so realistic. It's ridiculous. There's more Grok stuff. Grok feedback. Early release of editing of Grokopedia. Oh, good. I've got some stuff to edit. I'm not going to tell you what, but if you know me, you know where I'm going. Suggested edits on Grokopedia are now reviewed and implemented in real time. Oh, good. That would explain why my edits haven't been taking effect, because I've been trying to edit Grokopedia. So that's good to know. Now, today he's announcing that they are working. So much has happened since then. So this is the announcement of the first DGX in 2016. Yeah, a lot has happened. Elon Musk knows how to make things beautiful. He does. The dude's got some sense of style. He's a minimalist, if you don't know, which is why Teslas all have absolute. So Elon Musk's philosophy on eliminating clutter is if you're not having to add things back, you have not eliminated enough. So like when they're deciding on what is needed in a vehicle, and this is why when you get into older Teslas, you're like, where's this, or how come it doesn't have that? It's because that's his design philosophy is if you're not looking for something, then you never needed it in the first place. But if you get into one of those cars and you're looking for something, that's an indication that it was a need, and then they add it back in later editions. But as a result, it simplifies things and makes things quite beautiful. Like just sleek and simple. Gotta love it. Let's see. Ron is the kind of supporter and friend who is there even when things are super tough. The only kind of friend that matters. Agreed. AI is compression and correlation. All the great breakthroughs in science are at their core compression. They take a complex mass of observations and say it's all just as simple as one rule. True. Symbolic compression scientifically, because the rule is always symbolic. Usually expressed as mathematical equations. If it isn't symbolic, it isn't usually explaining the thing. You can observe it, but you can't understand it. And that's, when people say you can't understand God or you can't understand spirit, this is my objective, is similar to science. It's not that we can't, it's just that we haven't figured out the equation to explain it yet, which is why I'm extremely fascinated by the quantum physics stuff, because it explains so much. And now once you think of it in those terms, then you can start to find other correlations which help explain it, like Wi-Fi. Let's see. Darn it. There you go. I am convinced that if someone spent 40 hours per week posting quality content for which there is an audience on X and heavily engaging with premium users, within 12 months they would be making more than the average income in whatever country they live. I agree with that. I think that's true of all content on most platforms, even YouTube. It's not difficult to make money on YouTube if you put in the effort. The problem is people put in 1 hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours, and it's not enough to really get through the hurdles, and then they give up before they've iterated enough to find their niche to which they have an audience for. But yeah. I mean, like YouTube and Rumble actually makes it really easy to make money. I don't take advantage of this, but if you're not aware of this, on Rumble, you don't have to get sponsors or advertisers for your here. I wonder if I don't know if I can show you this without like showing sensitive information. But if you're interested at all or think you might have the possibility of starting your own Rumble or YouTube channel, Rumble has a platform called studio.rumble.com to where you can, if you can get people to watch your videos, and this is for uploaded videos or lives, they have a platform where you can choose ads to read during your broadcast, and they'll actually pay you in like real time. So like right now we have 5 viewers on Rumble because we're just now starting to build our Rumble presence consistently. I've kind of ignored Rumble for the last year, 2 years. But now that I'm kind of starting to build a presence on Rumble, when it gets to a certain point, they'll actually come to you. There's a little panel right here that shows you that, based on the number of people who are currently watching your content right now, these are the ads you could read, and you'll get paid for each person who is viewing the ad. It is an amazing system that I don't take advantage of. But it's just these platforms are designed for people to make money. If you don't know that, YouTube, a lot of reason people do YouTube is to make money. I'm currently not doing YouTube to make money. I just need an avenue to talk about the two witnesses because I feel like this is my calling because nobody else is doing it. And I'm pretty sure that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are the two witnesses. And as soon as they give me a break, as soon as there's a day we don't have content, I'm going to have to reevaluate who the two witnesses are. But they have yet to fail us. So yeah, I'm not currently, I mean, who knows what the future holds? I may need to make money tomorrow, depending on the way things go. Who knows? But if you're in a position to where you want to produce content and make money, there's a lot of ways to make money on YouTube and Rumble, and and X even. I hear a lot of people are making really good money on X. Just posting. Like you don't even have to do video on X. You can just write articles and content and posts, and you get paid a portion of the ad revenue that's displayed on your stream. Anyway, China's electricity is now 30% more than Europe's per capita. Okay. Solar electricity will become by far the biggest source of power for civilization. I don't think he's wrong about that. Elon, solar will define the future of energy. Elon says the Kardashev scale makes the path clear because a civilization grows by learning how to gather the energy around it, and the solar sits at the center of the climb. I think that's what the pyramids are for. I'm of the opinion that the pyramids are a form of energy gathering, maybe even energy emitting technology that has been lost to the ages. It would not surprise me. I've been meaning to bring this up the last couple of days. We've been getting hammered with solar radiation the last couple of days, solar energy, because our shields are weakening around the Earth. You've probably seen people posting pictures of the aurora borealis in places as low as South America and Florida and all around the world where they normally don't show up. That is not normal. Something is changing on the planet. My theory is God is sending energy to the earth, preparing for the resurrection. That's my honest to God opinion of what's happening. Is I think that God is filling, and that's why there's earthquakes. That's why when Jesus gives a description of what to expect in the end time, it includes earthquakes. And storms and, lightning and meteor showers. We don't have the shields on the earth that are normal through the year. So more things are going to get through the atmosphere. We're probably going to lose some of the Starlink satellites. I don't know. They're in a completely different level. But it would not surprise me if God isn't sending energy to the earth in preparation for the rapture, for the resurrection, for the dead in Christ to rise. And I think that it'll probably, because God has already done this before, according to the scripture, he'll probably form new bodies for people from the dust of the ground. I could be wrong about that. It's just a theory. They could be purely energy. They could be pure energy. But that's my guess. Totally a guess, totally an opinion. But I think it explains like what's happening could be happening. It's just one explanation, one possibility. But I think it's a sign that the resurrection and rapture is really, really close. I mean, the fact that we have 3 years of freedom of speech left, we're probably within 3 years. It would not surprise me if the resurrection and rapture doesn't occur after that 3.5 day mark of the two witnesses. So, like, if you were to expand our theory on the two witnesses to where it's probably 2 leaders plus the 2 churches with nothing to repent from, Smyrna and Philadelphia, it would not surprise me if they're not the only ones who die for 3.5 days. If there's not something else that causes maybe all of Smyrna and Philadelphia too. Maybe that's part of the new birth right before the rapture. I mean, there is a lot of there is language in there about he who overcomes, but there's also language in there about those who are alive and remain. So there's so many variables to consider. Anyway, I'll move on before we go down any more rabbit trails. Okay.
Good, how's it going? Is this your office? This is the rocket factory, the SpaceX rocket factory at Starbase, Texas. I just want everybody in the world to hear that you said I build bigger things than you do. You do. The data centers are very enormous. It all started in 2016. I announced the world's first AI supercomputer,
DGX.
The DGX-1.
The most advanced computer that anyone has ever built.
It was just crickets, except for one person.
I was like,
and it was you.
I feel like we've seen this before.
So I built another DGX.
Great.
And this thing is mighty. This is the new DGX Spark.
So that's the whole thing? Wow.
5 times the computational power of DGX-1.
Wow.
40 watts, not 4,000.
40, wow.
DGX-1 to DGX
We've
Spark.
definitely seen this before.
It's so fun hanging out. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to Starbase.
I can't wait to see my first rocket launch. It was just incredible.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that before. Welcome to the jungle. Apple boosted GPT, hid Grok. Now they're getting sued. God. Shenanigans. I'm getting the signal from the family saying Sabbath has started. Wrap it up. Okay, let's go through. Anything here else we need to cover? That's an ad. We don't need to cover that. Breaking X in Belgium. Let's see. X chat. The DM book you didn't know you needed. X rolls out encrypted chat. Did we watch this already?
I don't know. I'm a Grok guy.
Yeah, we watched that. Grok guy. Grok for the win. Grok is in the news. More Grok. Easy to make great images with Grok Imagine. More Grok. Chat. Grok. Starlink. New Emirates. Let's see. New Emirates is planning to use SpaceX Starlink to upgrade the onboard Wi-Fi in its fleet. Good. I watched this today. This is pretty good. Does he include here his talk about the increase in threats?
I do regard you as a true and trusted friend. And you know the test of friendship.
I got more to the story.
Well, it's a better ending. The test of friendship is who supports you when the chips are down and the times are tough and everyone's against you. That's a real friend, and that's you, Ron.
Thank you. So we did invest that 100, mark down to 30.
I do regard you as
That's a good interview. It's like an hour long, worth watching. In this interview, he talks about the ever increasing death threats on his life. I just bring that up because it's one of the attributes of the two witnesses. Not directly death threats, but people want to kill them. It's very obvious if you read what little we know about the two witnesses. One of the things we know is there's a lot of people who are happy when they're finally dead, and there are a lot of people who intend to harm them. So I think it's interesting that, obviously Donald Trump, people want to harm him. There's been multiple assassination attempts. What goes underreported is the assassination attempts on Elon. He just doesn't talk about it very much. He's very hush hush about, the kind of things that are going on around him. So if you have children who are interested in construction trucks, I wrote an illustrated book that compares what the trucks do to how Jesus works in our lives to build on his truth and love. It would be a great Christmas gift available on Amazon. Oh man, I thought that was reposted from Elon. I was going to be like, man, that was nice of him. No, it's an ad. It's an ad. Sounds like an interesting book though. Pro tip, if you're going to advertise on X, make it look like a tweet and it's likely to get read on some show that people read tweets. Okay, incredible Medicare for all. This is good.
So imagine a world where everyone has access to the best surgeons, literally everyone. And Optimus will have a level of precision that is frankly superhuman, and will be able to do medical procedures, of very sophisticated medical procedures, any medical procedure, perhaps things that really humans can't even do because they're too difficult, and that will be available to anyone. People often talk about eliminating poverty and providing great medical care, but they never actually have a solution. And money doesn't solve it because there are only so many. There's a very limited number of great doctors and surgeons. They don't grow on trees, but now they'll get built in factories. So imagine a world where everyone has access to the best surgeons, literally everyone.
That'd be cool. Incredible Medicare of all. And in this same interview, he also talked about we're getting towards the ability to build the $6 million man for a lot cheaper. If you ever saw that show, they were able to rebuild a guy who was pretty much paraplegic on his deathbed. We've seen a lot of iterations on this concept, RoboCop, stuff like that. He says we're getting close to the ability to be able to give somebody who's a quadriplegic the ability to have a body for like $60,000. Like that's where the technology is probably going. Could you imagine that? That'd be cool. Of course, granted, with the resurrection and rapture, none of that stuff is going to be needed. But he's doing the best he can with what he has, and it's very cool what you can do in this simulation. All right, what goes here?
So, but the reason for hand dexterity is you want to be able to do like surgery and precision medical actions. And so imagine a world where everyone has access to the best surgeons, literally everyone.
We just saw that. We just read that one. Hiring a kick-ass storage SRE if you've got what it takes. Okay. That's a service reliability engineer, I believe that is. Storage service reliability engineer. They're all tapping on the windows. I'm almost done. Chill out. Gotta love the family. Great surgeons don't grow on trees, but will be built in factories. Okay. Neuralink patients talk almost as fast as anyone else. Oh, he was talking about in this interview that they've given somebody who was unable to speak the ability to speak. That's really cool. Tesla has released its first ever safety report with incredible data showcasing how safe the system really is. Oh, good. This is what we were waiting for, to find out if they can remove supervised self-driving. In North America, full self-driving is 7 times less likely to get into a collision than a human manually driving. Sweet. There you go. Is this the same bloody one?
Like we see a path to putting 100 gigawatts per year of solar-powered AI satellite into orbit.
Cool.
And having this be actually the lowest cost way to power and operate AI at a very large scale. For reference, the United States consumes roughly 460 gigawatts on average per year. Like the average power load in the U.S. is 460 gigawatts.
The whole country. The whole country.
All electricity of all sources in the U.S., yes.
And you're talking about 100 being added.
Well, roughly a quarter of the U.S. electricity output. And we have a plan mapped out to do that. It gets crazy.
It gets crazier. That is so cool. Okay. Vitamin D. That's an ad. Elon Musk did in 19 days what others took. Here, let's listen to this.
What they achieved is singular. Never been done before. Just to put in perspective, a supercomputer that you would build would take normally 3 years to plan.
Right.
And then they deliver the equipment, and it takes 1 year to get it all working.
Yes.
We're talking about 19 days. Do you know how many days 19 days is? This is a couple of weeks. I mean, that is like superhuman. And as far as I know, there's only one person in the world who could do that. You know, I mean, Elon is singular in his understanding of engineering and construction and large systems and marshaling resources.
Incredible.
Yeah, just it's unbelievable. What they achieved is
unbelievable. Grok rocks. And there we are. We're done. You guys have any final questions? My daughter's literally been banging on my office window here for the last 10 minutes. She's eager for me to come spend time with them. I did want to point out this comment. Fury, you made this comment about Julie McCoy. She has this line, prayer is voice activated quantum command. I love that. I really do enjoy Julie's videos. Very good stuff. The first woman ever to be effective in combat and the last. Oh, the bionic woman. Cool. All right. Well, I think we're going to call it there. We are at 1 hour and 18 minutes. Went a little bit longer. I was expecting tonight to be like 30 minutes, but Elon and Donald were making up from yesterday's slow day. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoy this content, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the show, comment if you have questions, join us on Discord if you want to continue the conversation, and come back and see us this weekend if we post anything. Definitely on Monday. We try to do this Monday through Friday every around 5:30 Western time, 8:30 Eastern time. Thanks again for joining us. Have a wonderful Sabbath and take care and shalom.